That's a big win for Sacramento, 113 to 103. You lose Sabonis in the first 60 seconds of the game, but Jonas Valanciunas was great. I mean, Valanciunas came in and was outstanding. They don't win this game without Valanciunas. The bench played well. That's a big win. You know, the Rockets have not been playing great, but I don't care. That is a big win without Sabonis. We'll find out tomorrow how long he'll be out, but this was a big win. Big win, Ryno. Big win.
Okay, so the first question I'm going to ask before I give my thoughts is signature win, Grant? Does it go in the column?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, on the road against a team that's ahead of you in the standings, without your best player who got hurt in the first minute of the game. Yeah, absolutely. I thought the Kings were going to go 2-2 on this road trip. I think they got a great chance to go 3-1 now because Dallas is not very good. They're getting killed tonight. I don't think they'll beat Denver, but I do think they'll beat Dallas. And you come home 3-1. That's a great road trip.
Oh, it's an excellent road trip with this schedule. So, couple initial thoughts, Grant. Houston handed Sacramento their lunch last year 4 times. The
Yep.
Kings sweep them this year. So that is a pretty good stat, like that 3-0. Here's the other thing. For a very inconsistent Sacramento Kings team, they do one thing consistently, and it's rally around each other when they lose a guy.
True.
We've seen it time after time again. And the
True.
fight, the defense tonight, the bench, like you said, 10 of the 13 steals, Grant, came from the bench tonight.
Yeah, I want to go back to one thing you said about last year. In 3 of the meetings that the Kings and the Rockets hooked up in last year, Fox did not play in both the games in Houston. So you have to put that, you can't forget about that. But this is a Kings team that showed a lot of grit in this game tonight. And that's what I like the most. They looked like a gritty team because that has not been the case enough. We see it in spurts. It has not been that way enough, but tonight I saw it.
Yeah, and you had, Tomas not in double digits, so your starters weren't there, but you had 2 guys off the bench in double digits. It was a balanced effort, Grant, and the fact that we're seeing some evolution with this offense. Now, the question becomes, can they play that kind of defense and give that kind of effort every single night with or without Domantas Sabonis?
Well, you're going to have to because the schedule's brutal coming up. We keep on talking about that. It's going to be very, very difficult when you get home. And so you're playing the elite teams in the league, one right after another. And you've got to figure out a way to play this way against the very good teams.
Yeah.
So that you're going to have to. The situation right now in the West that's very good. Phoenix is playing so poorly that I think we know who the top 10 teams are going to be. We just don't know the order.
Yes.
Are the Kings going to be 10th? Are they going to be 9th, 8th, 7th? I mean, we don't know the order. I still think Dallas has got major issues unless they can get Anthony Davis back on the floor. As I said, they're playing Milwaukee right now, and they're getting killed at home 101 to 79. I think the Kings will pass them. I think the Mavs are going to have to. Well, I do. Listen, Ryno, I'm looking at their roster, and I'm looking at they don't have any bigs, relatively speaking, and it's very hard to win in this league. And if they don't get Anthony Davis back soon, they're in for a whale of trouble. Right now, their team is Kyrie Irving.
Are you in a rush to get Anthony Davis back if you're Dallas?
Yes, if I'm the general manager of Dallas after I traded a 24-year-old superstar who just turned 25, and I have death threats against me, and I have fans revolting against me, you're damn right it's important to get Anthony Davis back soon.
Well, I just wonder if you want to make sure that he's right, because he was dealing with a similar injury to that in LA, and then it aggravates in Dallas. I don't know that you...
I'm not saying you rush him back, but yes, they definitely need him back. So,
no, I hear you.
Listen, I think the Kings are going to beat Dallas. I thought they were going to beat Dallas before the road trip began. I thought they were going to lose to Houston and lose to Denver, but I like the way they match up against Dallas. And the Mavs got some issues right now, so there's no reason to think that the Kings can't go into Dallas and win that game. They should win the game.
Yep, I'm with you 100%. Nick Stauskas has some issues too. Did you see his tweet?
No.
He puts out this tweet that says, as a happily retired basketball player, that was the really rich part. but he sideswiped Kessler Edwards. He's like, how is this guy in the league? How is he starting for an NBA team right now?
I didn't see that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I ripped Nick Stauskas for that a couple of days ago. It was ridiculous. A couple of things. The Kings did not shoot the free throws very well tonight, but when it mattered down the stretch, 7-7 in the fourth quarter. So you got to give them credit there. Here's the other thing I'm going to give them credit for. I was tracking the times of their shots down the stretch. Once they got to the point where they had 10, 11, 12-point leads, where, really Houston can't come back if you play your cards right. And other than that one Malik Monk turnover with about 17 seconds left on the clock, the Kings took very good shots late in the shot clock, anywhere between 6 seconds, 3 seconds. And that's that IQ starting to pick up a little bit, Grant, that we needed.
The only thing that I was concerned with tonight, other than the obvious injury, Malik's turned the ball over too much.
Yes.
Five turnovers tonight, and that's just got to come down when you start playing the really good teams. And Houston's a good team, by the way, although they haven't been playing well. They've lost 6 of their last 10 games, but they're a good team. That's the only thing that I was a little bit concerned about tonight. I thought, once again, Keon Ellis was outstanding off the bench. We already talked about Valanciunas. Valanciunas is basically a starter. He's not really a bench player. He's a starter. So now he will be starting.
So is Keon Ellis. You have 2 starters coming off the bench.
Yeah, but Valanciunas is a legitimate starter more so than Keon Ellis because of his resume. He's done it for years and years and years. There's a little bit of a difference there. But yes, he is. No question about it.
Fair point. A lot of good stuff to talk about. Some bad, but we'll get through all of it here tonight. We got a ton of people on the line. Yep. You guys have been killing it, guys and gals, lately on the phones. So keep it coming. Let's have a good one. Dirk is stepping up to the plate first. What's up, Dirk?
What is up? Hey, let's never talk about Nick Stauskas again. Just to not acknowledge the irrelevant person, but
happily retired.
Best win since the trade by far. The defense tonight. I mean, it's interesting with a tall center who can block shots, how much different it looked with Keon and Keegan going. Man, they just had so many defensive stops here.
Yeah, they played very well, no doubt. I mean, what did Keon have 6 steals in this game?
I didn't even see the stat line, but I saw it was his career high. So
yeah, he had 5 steals. And give Keegan Murray, like you said, Dirk, a ton of credit. He did a great job on Green on the perimeter,
tremendous job
in the fourth quarter.
Great job.
It shows some guts. I mean, these guys fought hard tonight, and that was my biggest takeaway. Ryan, you called it when Sabonis went down. That was the reaction. So I'm proud of this team tonight. I was researching those non-contact hamstring injuries. That could be anything from a couple days to weeks to months. So it's amazing that we have a competent backup center. That was a huge move.
Well, he's a starter. He's basically a starter is what he is. And we'll know more on Sabonis tomorrow. We'll know tomorrow what the projected absence will be, but I have a feeling it's going to be a while.
Me too. I mean, it didn't look good, but
no.
15 and 14 from your starting backup center, Anyway, I'll let other people talk. Great game.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Again, I know he's the backup on the Kings, but he's not a backup. He's a starter is what he is. He just happened to be playing behind a guy that's dynamite in Sabonis. But I think, again, let's acknowledge what he is. He is somebody that right now may end up being the guy that saves this season for the Kings.
Yeah, I don't think if you looked at the trade market, there was a better backup that you could integrate into the Kings offense on the market. I think he is the perfect fit because there's not a lot of guys that play the style that he plays, along with Sabonis to a degree, and obviously Şengün tonight, as we have seen. SE, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, Ryan? What's up? Great. Great. I just want to say one thing. Did you guys see it's about the rebounding. Towards the end of the third quarter, Trey Lyles goes in and gets an offensive board with 4 red jerseys just sitting there. Did you guys see that play? Did you guys focus on it? There's about 4 minutes left in the third quarter. I saw that, and I think that was very symbolic of the entire game of how much effort the Kings put in into rebounding, into boxing out, into chasing the offensive boards. Lyles had 3 and JB had 5. So I was very happy with that. It's very rare that we see that from that type of rebounding from multiple players, not just Sabonis and Murray. So I was very impressed by that. And then second, I'll say, saw that tweet about uh,
Nick
what was it?
Stauskas.
Nick Stauskas. Yeah, yeah. And I would actually go easy on the guy because I was going to the Baskin Robbins on J Street and I saw him working there. So I think we should go easy on him. He's having a little tough go right now.
We'll do that. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Very good. I wonder if that's true. Good job, Essie. Yeah, the fight tonight and the offensive rebounds, we talked about them at halftime with Jerry. There were still some in the second half, but the Kings ran a lot more of the zone defense in the second half, and that's your big liability there. And then Rockets too, Grant, they were taking long threes, contested hard threes.
Yes, they were. I thought the shot selection was not good, and I thought the Kings defense certainly contributed to that. But this is one of the signature wins of the year. I don't think there's any doubt about that. It really is. Hey, don't forget about Bennett's Prime Seafood and Steaks, whether you're at the West Side Grill in Rockland or you're in Roseville or Sacramento. You go to bennettsrestaurants.com. Don't forget about their brunch tomorrow. You can make a reservation by going to bennettsrestaurants.com. Prime Seafood and Steaks at Bennett's. Love talking about them. And the newest of the 3 restaurants is in Rockland, the Bennett's West Side Grill. But wherever you are, you get the same quality prime seafood and steaks. Go to bennettsrestaurants.com. That's bennettsrestaurants.com. 113-103. It's a big win for Sacramento. I put it into the signature column. This is a signature win. No Sabonis basically for the entire game. And the Kings did not blink. They hold the Rockets to 103 points.
Put it in the signature column and send the record to the library. Something. I'm trying. We got to give Doug Christie some credit here. And for the fans that really pay attention and listen to the press conferences, when they talk about hitting first, Grant, that's what that was tonight. That was hitting the other team first, pushing them off their spots. And we're going to go to the whiteboard later in the show, but what they did with the zone to put Şengün into the spots where he's not comfortable was brilliant. So really good stuff by Doug and the staff and Luke Laux.
Well,
let's go ahead.
Well, but with that said, Şengün still had 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists, but he turned the ball over 6 times. That to me was a real key.
Well, Valanciunas is not known for moving his feet, and Sabonis really isn't to a degree either. They're just both pretty fundamental. And Şengün, out of Jokic, Sabonis, Valanciunas, whatever group you want to put together that plays that style, he is by far the best off the dribble. He is the most athletic. So I give the Kings a pass there tonight. Tay, what's up?
Hey, Grant. Hey, Ryno. How you guys doing?
How are you?
Good. Great win. I'm really proud of the team tonight. Also sweeping the series. Not to take away anything from tonight's win and the overall series sweep, but I think the Kings really match up well with the Rockets because if you look at Rockets' starting lineup tonight, the only player that was taller than 6'7" was Şengün. And I think you guys know that Kings obviously struggle with length. They struggle against teams that have lengthy defenders, but I think the Rockets are not undersized, but they don't have many lengthy players. So I think they really match up well with them. That's my take. And I think with Sabonis injury, if you guys remember, around this time last year, Malik Monk went down. I don't know if it was around game 60 or like 60.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you're right.
At that time, they were at the 6th seed, and obviously they slept all the way to the 9th seed. And I want the Kings to control their own destiny, but without Sabonis, their best player, I think to a certain extent, they have to rely on other teams continue being bad. Basically, Phoenix, San Antonio, Portland. We have to a certain extent, hope that
I want to worry about Phoenix and San Antonio and Portland. I wouldn't even mention them. I don't think they're relevant right now. I would be just worried about, where the Kings are with the teams that are 4 or 5 spots ahead of them. I wouldn't worry about the teams behind them. Personally, there aren't a lot of games left. That the gap to me between Sacramento and Phoenix would absolutely have to win both games against Sacramento, but Phoenix also has a brutal schedule. And if you can't beat New Orleans at home, you're not going to beat Boston and Cleveland and Milwaukee and all these teams that Phoenix has to play. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, great. And I think also with the Mavericks, if I'm not mistaken, Lively, Gafford, and Davis are all supposed to come back by end of the year, supposedly. And I think that's one team where the Kings have to avoid if they want to get into the playoffs. I just don't see Kings beating the Mavs with that amount of length.
I would agree with you. If that team were healthy in a single game elimination, I would not necessarily like the Kings' chances. I don't disagree with that. Somebody said I'm wrong about Portland. I understand that Portland is a much improved team, okay? But you have to understand something, folks, okay? Right now, the Kings are 31-28. All right. Portland is 5 games back in a loss column. Do you understand how significant 5 games in a loss column is when you only have what are we talking about here? They have not that many games left. They have 20. Portland has 22 games left. They're 5 games back in a loss column. They would probably have to go, and I'm doing this off the top of my head. They would probably have to go 18-4, 17-5. They're not. There's not enough time left. So listen, I understand Portland's improved, but they're not going into they're not going to be a top 10 team this year. They're too far back.
Yep, I agree. We just have to continue to hope they continue to slide. Yeah, I just don't want the Kings to repeat what they did last year with Monk's injury. And, it will be a disaster not to make the playoffs, but it will be a catastrophe if they fall out of the play-in. That will be. I
can't see it. I can't see it right now because because of how bad all the teams are below them, such as Phoenix. Phoenix has got 4 more losses than the Kings. Again, that is significant.
And do you know what Phoenix also has? They have the toughest schedule in the NBA.
Yes,
coming home.
That's exactly right. And you know what else they have? Not a very good team.
So, Kings are second, but Phoenix is first with the schedule. Hey, Tay, appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Tone the Lone Rider. I warned everybody coming into tonight about spoilers, and you just did it. You are in timeout, my man. You are blocked and in timeout for now. And anybody calling, just after you do your calls, if you don't mind dropping off, because we have other people that are trying to call, and we have a full room, which we love, right, Napes? We love getting a full room.
Absolutely. Somebody said something's wrong with my mic. Does my mic not sound good?
No, you're fine.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah,
too.
I thought there was some feedback on Tay's end when you were talking. I think it was his speaker.
Okay.
So, Fuji, what's going on?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. How are you? Thanks for calling.
Oh, we're doing good, man. Finally have some positives after a game, huh? Hell of a win. Going into the game, we need to punch them in the mouth, and we did just that. We started the game off strong. I don't think anybody watching the game thought that we were just going to run away with it. The Rockets are a scrappy team. Obviously, they're going to fight back. So that was the biggest key for me, coming in, just being physical and just punching them in the mouth. That's a athletic, physically gifted Rockets team there. I tuned in during halftime, and Grant, I know you were tempering expectations in terms, because obviously Sabonis going out was, a big loss for the Kings. We didn't hang our heads though. But I think we kept up the pace that you were talking about.
Yes.
Huge. Coming out third quarter, another key moment. I wanted to see how we responded coming out of half. Obviously, we've been a third quarter slumping team, man, and we came out firing. I mean, I think we went up, had about 5 points off the rip, and we just kept battling back and forth. Last point, man, transition defense tonight, guys, was incredible. I think there were certain moments, because I watched the Rockets broadcast. We don't have to go into that, but they were talking about look at we had 4 guys back in a transition moment, and they pointed it out a couple times. So big upgrade there from, obviously the last couple of games. And, very excited. I'm going to temper my expectations, but very excited going forward. I think that if we get a win at the Mavericks, man, we could have a little ride going into these next couple of games.
Well, they should beat Dallas. They're better than Dallas right now. Dallas's lineup, even without Sabonis, the Kings are better than Dallas. So one thing I will say, and I'm just based it on my experience. Very often, and even though Sabonis got hurt in the first minute of the game, very often the effect of losing a player doesn't happen in the game you're playing. It happens after that.
Right.
Yeah,
very often. So just, first of all, we don't know how long Sabonis is going to be out. We'll find out more tomorrow. But my experience and looking at guys that get hurt during the particular game, it doesn't affect the team as much during that game as it does after in the subsequent games. Let's see how the Kings are able to respond for the rest of this road trip. And because you have to understand, as good as Valanciunas is, this really affects your depth now. And here's something else about Valanciunas that you have to keep in mind. He is susceptible to foul trouble.
Yep.
And when he gets in foul trouble, then what do you do?
Yeah.
All right. So this is for folks that doesn't think this that this is not going to have an impact on the team. It is obviously going to have an impact. Sabonis is your best player, arguably your best player, and now you don't have him for, I think, going to be at least a little while. I think we could agree on that. So your depth is affected. Your bench now is not nearly as strong because Valanciunas goes from the bench to the starting lineup. And again, you have to be careful about him with his fouls.
Great point, Grant. I think you're probably going to see Isaac Jones meeting the team in Dallas. That would be my guess. I know that he was in Stockton tonight playing. The one thing I do think it does is it forces Doug Christie's hand a little bit more to go to the pick and roll offense, getting a little bit more downhill. He talked last game about wanting to run things through Sabonis. You can't do that as much with Valanciunas. I think this team operates better when they're running off of the pick and roll, and the communication in transition, excellent tonight, Fuji.
Excellent.
It's about as good as it gets for the Kings.
Yeah. I would like to see a little bit of Isaac Jones too. I think obviously a very raw player right now, and he doesn't try it a lot offensively, but he can't be moved around in the paint, and I'm curious to see if we give him some spurts, how he responds being in a bigger role. But I appreciate you guys always.
Thank you.
Love the show. I'll catch you next time.
I would think Isaac Jones would be nothing more than an insurance policy.
Exactly.
That's what he is. He's not. You can't put him in valuable minutes right now, in my opinion. He would be on a as needed basis, which is fine. Yep. There's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, you have to understand what you have there. I know what you have in Sunrise Landing. You have a beautiful community in Calusa. You go to CalusaSunrise.com. You can check out everything. This is a Blazona development project with beautiful models to choose from. 6 and all, no Mellorews, no homeowners. And remember, the access, very good. I-5, Highway 45, Highway 20. Sunrise Landing is also adjacent to the Calusa Golf and Country Club. Once again, you go to CalusaSunrise.com and get all the information you need on Sunrise Landing. 113-103. Big win for Sacramento tonight. Big win. They're now 9th in the West with a team coming up that's really reeling right now in the Dallas Mavericks in 48 hours.
It's where you can't have a let off. You got to come out and punch him in the face, just like you did tonight with Houston.
That's right. Because if you lose to Dallas, this really negates tonight's win. Because Dallas is, I think most of us agree that Dallas was the game that you would win out of the next 3. Like I'm not saying you concede anything, but I think with Houston, Dallas, and Denver, most people were looking at, well, they'll beat Dallas, may not beat Houston, probably won't beat Denver. Well, now you got to get greedy. You got to get greedy. And you got to step on Dallas.
And you're probably going to get more than 4 minutes out of Markelle Fultz in Dallas.
I don't know. He only played 4 minutes in the last game. Why do I think he's going to play more than that against Dallas?
between Keon, Markel, I think you've got to throw different looks at Kyrie. And granted, Doug and the coaching staff waited to throw those different looks until the late third quarter, early fourth quarter at Şengün. I just think Fultz needs a little bit more time. We'll see. Let's bring on somebody who could easily be a co-host on this show. She knows her hoops. Miss Anita, how are you tonight?
I'm doing awesome. How are you guys tonight?
Hey, Anita, good to hear from you.
Good to hear from you guys as always. I just love jumping on the show, and it was an early game, so it wasn't too late for me to jump on, and just a lot of good stuff tonight. Agree with what you were all saying about, Valanciunas, and also watching his minutes, because a couple of times he was gassed, and, fortunately we were able to bring in Trey Lyles, and, his Trey Lyles' first stint was just okay, but I really thought that second stint there in the second part of the third quarter, he and the guys that were on the floor, Laravia, really did hold it down, got a lot of, deflections and steals, and, really withstood the run we knew that, that we were going to see from Houston. So it was really good to see the guys go in there and really they really stepped up the defense. They were really just after everything, and they just, they hustled, and let's see if they can build on that. Yeah, and the other thing I was going to say.
Hold on, Napes is talking, but we lost him. Napes, say that again.
We lost Nate. Okay.
1 2 1 2. I'll get
there
it.
You are.
Don't worry.
All right.
Hang on. I'm having a few mic issues, but I'm back with you now. But Anita, you're right about Trey Lyles. I thought the second stint was really, really, really effective.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking at, Dallas, obviously, I believe they lost tonight. The last time I checked, the Warriors were losing. They may come back, but I really think that game against the Warriors, I think it's March 20th. I'm not sure. It could be a huge game, because if the Kings and the Warriors are, tied, the Kings would need that win to have that tiebreaker. So that game, I think, whatever the Kings do, they just need to be neck and neck with the Warriors, because that game coming up, that could be the game who decides. It could be 7th or 8th, and you want that home court advantage, if at all possible, if you do have to play Warriors, if you are the 7th and 8th seeds, or if one of those, happen to sneak into that 6th seed. So I think that Warriors game is huge. So the Kings just need to stay with them in the standings, get to that game, and handle business in, and we'll toss up the ball and see what happens.
It's an excellent point, Anita. It's a very, very good point. And to Trey Lyles, really quick, can we talk about the fact that he's been kind of in, out of the rotation, but it hasn't bothered his game? He's come in and made an impact, made the team better, knocked down some shots. I think that's great. That has been something a lot of the bench players have done consistently over the past couple of years. So I love to see that, guys. All right.
I think we lost Grant again.
Did we lose? Yep, we lost Napes again. He's working on it. We'll get him back.
He's working on it, but a good point about Trey Lyles, Ryan, and all the players coming off the bench. You just have to be ready when your number is called. If you're Markel Fultz and you're getting 4 minutes, make that the best 4 minutes, of your life, and so on and so forth. So great to be on the call with you all. Hopefully Napes can get back on, and everybody have a wonderful evening.
Yeah, Anita, stay on hold. We might just bring you back to co-host, So. All right, be well, Anita.
All right, I should be good. I should be good now, right?
Yep, you are good. Right. I think Anita makes a great point about the Golden State game, and I know standings-wise, the game isn't as important, but I think that San Antonio game on March 7th with De'Aaron is very important for the morale of this fan base, and even maybe for some of the guys on this team. So I look at those two as big ones.
I am not looking at any individual game right now. I'm not pinpointing any individual game. There are too many scenarios that can happen. And here's something else. We'll find out more tomorrow, about Sabonis. And if the report is not good, meaning it's lengthy, then what you're dealing with is you can absolutely not afford another injury. Remember what happened last year, right?
Yeah.
You cannot, not with this schedule coming up, Ryan. Your cupcakes are done for the year for the most part. Look at that schedule. Look at that schedule coming up. you cannot afford. I don't know if you're going to be able to afford to not have Sabonis for a lot of those games, and I don't know yet. We won't know until tomorrow. But you really are fragile right now.
I think you would be lucky, and I'm just going off of what I saw. I'm going off of the fact that he tweaked that same hamstring a couple of nights ago against Charlotte, but was able to play through it. I think, Grant, it's a situation where you might not see him until that homestand that begins March 17th.
That's, to me, best case scenario, to be honest with you.
You think that's best case? All right.
I do, just on hamstrings. And as you pointed out, and watching him walk off the floor, you know this.
Yeah.
Anyone that's played sports or have had hamstring issues, hamstrings are not anything you can rush back from.
No. They're quite the opposite. And when you do it, you know it. There's no in between. So, Dennis, welcome on the show tonight.
Hey, guys, light the beam.
Light the beam is right.
Light the beam.
Wow, what a game. I mean, honestly, I felt like if we didn't have a Jonas to go to after Sabonis went down, I mean,
the game you would have lost the game without Valanciunas. There's no doubt about it.
1,000%, Grant. 1,000%. Thank you. And then him coming in and just bringing that defensive presence, the steals, the blocks. Oh my goodness! And for this team to respond off that, gravitate to that a little bit. I mean, obviously it was a drop off when he was out, but I felt Trey Lyles stepped up. I really did. I felt Trey Lyles stepped up and did what he had to do. I mean, he wasn't perfect on the floor tonight, but in the spurts he was on, I felt this team has what we need to win these kind of games.
The biggest issue for the Kings going forward right now, in my opinion, is what happens when Valanciunas gets in foul trouble, because he is susceptible to getting in foul trouble.
100%. Five tonight.
That to me is going to be the biggest issue in the absence of Sabonis. We don't know how long the absence is currently, but for the games that he's not in, that is going to be the biggest concern for Sacramento.
Well, okay, let me play devil's advocate really quick, Grant. Is it going to be the biggest concern because the Kings before Valanciunas for the last year and a half ran it with Trey playing small man 5?
I'm looking at the schedule. I'm looking at Trey's body of work.
Yeah.
Which is terribly inconsistent. And I don't have confidence in Trey Lyles to pick up the slack. I mean, if you go from Domantas Sabonis, or if you go from Sabonis to Valanciunas,
yeah,
that's one thing. If you go from Valanciunas to Lyles, that's another. It's a big drop off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's a very good point. Dennis, we appreciate you. Thanks for always bringing the energy.
Hey, guys, thank you. Appreciate you guys. All love. Thank you.
Dennis is always just going, woo! Anytime the Kings win, Dennis gets his Ric Flair woo on all the time. Keep the calls coming, Grant. We're going to be here all night, it looks like. So now it's Ralph. Ralphie, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey there, how are you?
Good win on a Saturday night. Aztecs won and the Kings won.
Yeah.
So. March is my favorite time of the year for crazy hoop heads.
Ralph, if you could see the shoes that they sent me, I'm like over the moon. They're sitting right over there. They're so cool. No, the Aztecs. The SDSU basketball family. They're the best. Anyways, go ahead.
Can you put it on social media or something? So,
yeah, I'll put them on social.
Okay. All right. No, I wanted to talk about Valanciunas. That's my concern too, Grant, is his foul trouble. But it's nice having a big that can really protect the paint. I kind of compare it to like when Gobert with the Wolves and AD when he was with the Lakers. Did you feel like the Kings were definitely more in the passing lanes because they know, hey, in our backline we don't have to help as much. We know Valanciunas can be there in our backline and support us. Or do you think it's just more of a function of just Keon Ellis just being aggressive? But I think the perimeter defense and the active hands was great. But I think it was a lot of due to Valanciunas.
Yeah, I think Valanciunas takes up a lot of space, and he's physical. Guys are going to be hesitant to go in there. He's like that big Velcro wall where people would put the Velcro suits on and then they'd go and
Right.
jump against it, except you don't stick to them. You just bounce off of them. So Doug did some really creative things with the zone tonight, and I'm going to show him in a few minutes. But yeah, Valanciunas does make a big difference being down there.
Yeah, definitely. And then, just being in the passing lanes, the defending without fouling. I think Grant, you're talking about Monk's turnovers. I think it's him being in this 1A role. It's not my favorite because, without having Fox, without having Fultz, he has to be even more precise with his passing. And I think we saw that the other game with all these crazy lobs, and he's really setting the tone. So I think he has to clean that up, and I know it's harder, and it'll be harder without Domas too. He's going to be one of our only playmakers without DeMar and Levine being able to do that. I think it's just a lot of pressure on Monk.
It is a lot of pressure, and again, he's not really a natural point guard, and that's what he's trying to play. And so it's one of the issues going forward when you look at the teams that Ryan just put up on the screen. Beginning with really Memphis, that is just one brutal stretch. Here it is again. I mean, you look at the teams that are coming in, assuming that they're healthy, because like Memphis tonight didn't have Ja Morant or Desmond Bane, so you just never know, right? But I mean, when you look after the game against Phoenix, look at the Memphis, Cleveland, Chicago, who's playing better, right?
Yep.
Milwaukee, Boston, Oklahoma City. I mean, Portland is good. Then Orlando on the road is good. Indiana is really good, right? I mean, we can go on and on and on. This schedule is brutal. And here's the other deal. Look at the Pistons and how well they're playing. They already beat you once. I don't know if anyone right now is playing better than Detroit other than maybe Cleveland.
Grant, I've been saying it on the Kings court for the last couple days. The Kings are about to go through a buffet of almost every playoff team in the NBA. They literally are. They're going to see nearly every team that's going to be in the playoffs.
Yep.
So it's going to be a test for sure.
Yeah, and I think when we see other teams that are the playoff teams we're vying for play-in teams, we have to root for the Eastern Conference teams, right? If you're a Kings fan, you got to hope that the Eastern Conference teams beat these play-in teams that are 7, 8, 9. Otherwise, as much help as you can, you got to take care of your own business, of course. But against opponents, the other team.
Again, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind right now that the top 10 teams in the West currently are the top 10 teams that are going to be in. We just don't know what order. I don't see any team below Minnesota and Sacramento right now, which would be Phoenix, getting in. They're too far back, in my opinion, and they're not playing well.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We still need ideas for your rant, Grant.
Yeah, we do need some ideas from our rant. I got a couple of ideas, and we've already had a couple of suggestions, but a rant with Grant coming up in a couple of minutes. So hit them up on the chat line, and we'll deliver for you in a little bit. So happy to see all the people that want to get in and talk to us tonight. We love that.
Yep. We've got GPJ, Baki, Paul, Matthew, Robinese, Waiton, Brian. Actually, Brian, you're up next. Brian, welcome to the show.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, good to talk to you guys. Good win. Really happy with our defensive effort for 48 minutes today.
It's excellent.
Keon Ellis, shout out to Valanciunas, obviously. Trey Lyles stepping up and giving us big minutes. But it was a team win. And outside of Levine and Monk's hiccups on offense, I think overall we played with a lot of poise. And that's how I'd characterize this win today, was poise.
Yeah, and grit. I love the grit of the team tonight after Sabonis left in the first minute. I mean, the Kings were up, 16 early in this game, and the Rockets came back, and they actually took the lead at one point, and then the Kings got the lead back at halftime, and they never relinquished it. I love the third quarter tonight, and it was, again, I think this is one of their best games of the year. I think this is one of their best 48-minute games that I've seen this year.
They finished, I rate the quarters, whether they finished it good or bad. Was it a smiley face or a frown? 3 of the 4 quarters were smiley faces, which isn't usually the case for the Kings. And as for the flow and, the mistakes, the one thing that Ralph brought up, and you're kind of hitting on too, Brian, about how everything was really good tonight. I feel like the Malik Monk thing can be cleaned up because Malik's not making like plays that I feel like he's being forced into. He's making knucklehead plays, just bad decisions that he had done in the past. So I think there's a lot of room for improvement there too. And you still have a performance like this. Love it, love it, love it.
I think you're referencing the one where Monk was in transition, and a lot of times he can pull that three. And I have no problem with him pulling that if he's open, but he'll force himself under the hoop and put himself in a position too many times. And that can be frustrating. But I think if Levine and Monk can clean up those turnovers and Fultz can give us some good minutes, I like the team wins rather than just relying on Fox and Sabonis to carry us. Like when everybody's getting their hand in there and adding something, I like that kind of win.
Yep. Look, you looked like a legitimate play-in team tonight.
Yes, they did. Yep.
So,
and the last thing I wanted to hit on was Valanciunas. I think a lot of Sabonis's problems when it comes to foul trouble are related to his pick and roll game.
Yes.
Because his pick and rolls they've not been all year problem. He'll move, he'll stick his butt out. He's not.
It's the guard's problem. It's not his problem.
It is the guard's problem a lot. You're 100% correct. You've illustrated that before on the whiteboard. You're 100% correct. Sometimes it's his problem, but most of the time it is the guard's issue. You're 100% correct, Ryno.
But I see Valanciunas, he's holding his ground, and he seems like he's more set in his screens. And even if the rub doesn't happen, he's more okay with that. He's not. He doesn't seem like one to force the issue and move to try to get that rub. And obviously, he's got to play more discipline on defense and not get in foul trouble. But offensively, with that pick and roll, I think he might be a little bit better than Sabonis at not picking up those fouls.
Well, we'll see. He is susceptible to foul trouble, but again, he's going to be the guy. He's going to be playing a lot more minutes, and he's got to stay on the floor. Thank you very much for the call. We greatly appreciate it, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Who's next?
Just rolling them. Let's roll them. Robin Ease, what's up, man? Happy to have you back.
Good afternoon, guys.
Hello.
Grant, how you doing, my man? The king of
I'm very well.
man.
How about yourself? It's always good to have you on the program.
I'm doing good, man. I have my son outside. Every time we shoot a jump shot, we just say, Bibby. You know what I mean? Do the teacup like Bibby. Couple things, Grant. Couple things, man. We haven't lost to the Rockets this year. Is that correct?
No.
Correct.
3-0.
So will we really count this game as a measuring stick, Grant? Like
signature. I opened up the show by saying I think it's one of their best wins of the year.
That means the other two are the best wins that we had.
No, not really. You played them on the second night of a back-to-back after they had played in Denver the night before, which is brutal, and they were without Smith. And so, no, that this was, of all the games that they played against Houston this year, for me, now you can have a different opinion, and that's fine. But tonight, for me, was the most impressive.
Understood. Yes, sir. Now, second thing is Valanciunas was always going to be a problem for the Rockets because I just thought about the size, and the main thing about the NBA is all about matchups, right? Now, we was talking about Isaac coming from the G League. I was thinking about bringing back Scal. He's been doing kind of good. I know. But if we're going to do something shot in the dark, I'd rather get that type of energy because he may want to try again, or maybe it's just the G League fluke of me just watching it.
Yeah, I don't think Scal's going to get the call up and be a factor. Whoever it is, whether it's Jones or whomever, they're going to be used as an insurance policy. It's not like they're going to be part of the rotation.
How do I put this? Because I cover Stockton really closely. In fact, we're doing a Stockton giveaway here in the next couple of days on the channel. But Scal is the vet down there. He is the guy that everything runs through because Stockton is running a very similar system to what the Kings are running. He plays the Sabonis role. He's not necessarily going to get stuff for himself. He's setting up situations and simulations for the two-way guys. his NBA time's done, and he is doing a tremendous job of it down there. He has been a gem of a professional, and he's an incredible guy to go still watch and talk to.
He's the best. He's one of my favorite Kings I've ever met. I love Scal. He is just the best. I love that man.
Okay. Second thing, third thing now before I get out of here. Looking at our size and seeing Valanciunas right now, and just his size, he helps to block the rim and everything like that. I only see us having a hard time when it gets past Milwaukee and Denver. I think we have a run with these guards now because we have him there. Because you saw his little bit of hustle with these blocks that he had today. But when it comes to having a 7-footer, I think that changes a lot of the game. I'm still like you, Grant. I'm not confident. I think we're gonna still be stay put in the 10th seed. I would be shocked if we get out the play in, right, to the playoffs, and that would be a win. I just want to see how you guys feel. Like if it really is a matchup, who do we match up well with in these games when it comes to just having JV? Appreciate your time, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Napes, who do you think they match up well? I know you don't like talking about hypotheticals, but is there anybody that comes to mind?
Well, you see now all of a sudden I have to see how Valanciunas plays with the rest of the starters because I haven't seen it yet, right? So everything changes. So I have to watch for a while. Again, I think we can have a more prudent conversation on Monday when we know the results of the imaging on Sabonis's hamstring. Right now, we're speculating on everything.
Really quick, so I know we're going to go back to the phones. What's the process like when something like this happens on the road? Are you bringing him back to SAC for imaging? Are you doing it and keeping him with the team in the city?
It depends. It depends on the training staff's initial diagnosis, along with the visiting or the home team's doctors. So the Houston Rockets doctors will also look at Sabonis along with the trainers. The trainers pretty much know when they get into the locker room based on their experience. But if Sabonis is definitely out, they will send him home tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. In all likelihood. And then he will do further tests and start his rehab process at the Kings training facility. That's generally what happens.
All right. Good to know. Matthew, you made it.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey there.
Hey, so I thought this game was really good tonight. Good win without Sabonis for basically all of it. I like how Trey Lyles stayed ready tonight, even though you guys said he's been in and out of the rotation, just staying ready, knowing you know he's going to get called, knowing you're going to play more minutes. Just he was a big presence on the rebounds tonight, I thought. Even though his shot wasn't really falling tonight, he still did a lot of stuff to impact the game, I think.
Yeah.
And I watched the Rockets broadcast tonight because that's just the one that League Pass gave me.
Yep.
And they talked about how Keegan Murray can be a real X factor for us.
Yep.
In these games. And they said that when he plays well, Kings typically win. So I was wondering how you guys feel about that. If you think the same thing as me.
I think it's true. I think it's true. Craig Ackerman and Ryan Hollins, who was with the Kings for a while, do an excellent job, and I agree with them.
It's much harder to guard 5 guys if you're the defense than 4. So if Keegan's being read, it changes everything.
Yep.
And you guys touched on JV being susceptible to foul trouble. I think if he does get in foul trouble, you're going to see a lot more small ball lineups. I just hope that the team can continue to rebound well and not give up offensive rebounds and a ton of pay points. And they did that tonight. They didn't give up too many pay points or rebounds, but that's a concern for me going forward if you're only running with JV at center. You don't really have a true backup to him, who's just tall and a real center.
Yep. Some good points.
Appreciate you.
Hey, appreciate that phone call. Thank you very much. Hey, before we move on, I want to tell you about New Works Plumbing. They've got a fix for you. They are available around the clock 24/7. Give them a call at 916-713-1010 if you have any issues. And again, if it's 3 in the afternoon or 3 in the morning, don't worry. New Works Plumbing will be there. They are awesome. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. New Works Plumbing, awesome. Thank you very much for all the comments. For those of you that have used New Works Plumbing, appreciate it. Love to hear from you and love that New Works Plumbing is part of our program and a partner with us here on If You Don't Like That. Kings win it. Big win tonight in Houston. Big win. And
Absolutely.
I mean, this to me is right up there, not quite with Boston, but it's in the same category. When you lose Sabonis in the first minute and you play as well as you did, as focused, you know what I like the most about this game? This is one of the few games this year where you didn't have a prolonged lull. The lulls were not there, and that's the thing I love about this game tonight.
That's such an excellent point, Grant, because even in the second quarter, when the Rockets came back, it wasn't like a big Kings lull that you usually go through. And there was one in the fourth quarter where you felt like it was coming. The Kings had a couple of turnovers and then a bad shot, but they brought it back to the rails. So very well said by you. And Valanciunas' line, it's stupid. He had 14 rebounds, 15 points. I know he had the 5 fouls, but 3 blocks and 4 steals for a backup center. That's a hell of a night.
Yeah, and again, I think we need to stop saying backup center. He's not a backup. He's a starter. He started pretty much his entire career.
How about a center?
There you go.
A center. All right, Paul, thank you for waiting. We appreciate it. Welcome on. You're with Grant and Ryno.
What's going on, guys?
What's up, man?
Hey there. How are you?
Good. Quick thing, so you can get to other calls. Keon Ellis, when he plays 28 minutes, the Kings are 12-3 now.
Yep.
And you look at the differentials of him in the lineups. The Kings' best 3 lineups are with him on the floor, and the plus differentials are like 10.5, 11.4, and 12.2.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, how do we get this guy 30 minutes a night on a night in, night out basis? Because the guy impacts the game on such a high level, even if he's not scoring the basketball. Like, his presence defensively is just insane. Like, watching him tonight, I was just like, this guy needs to get serious minutes. And if we're going to do anything coming down the stretch, I mean, he impacts the game so much. It's fun to watch.
He is your new Malik Monk, except his impact's on the other side of the floor.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's, and I don't know the details or how to get this, but how do we extend him? Because I think he's a big part of the future going forward, and they can't miss on, letting Keon walk.
They're not going to let him walk.
They're not. Yeah, he's going to ask for more than he's making right now, which is about $2.3 million. He's under contract through next year. So I'm guessing those talks would probably start this summer. I would think they would want to get him extended before the season begins.
I would agree with that.
I mean, he's got to be on one of the best value contracts in the NBA right now.
But he was an undrafted guy. He was scouted by the Kings in the Stockton Kings front office, developed in the system, and here he is. So it's a great model. It might be the model for a lot of teams going forward with this new CBA in effect. You have to have a Keon Ellis or two.
Yep,
agreed. All right, thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
thank
good
you.
points there.
Good
job by you, Paul.
They're not. Keon's not going anywhere.
What do you think? What do you think Keon's number should be?
I think that there's 2 ways of looking at this, and I'll use Isaiah Thomas as an example, who was taken last in the draft. You have to look at the impact that a player makes to your franchise, not where they were drafted.
Right.
Because, like, I'll give you an example. Right now on the roster, the Kings have a player technically in his prime that was the number 1 player taken in the draft, Markelle Fultz.
Right.
There's not a coach, general manager, fan, referee, broadcaster that would take Markelle Fultz over Keon Ellis. Okay? So Keon Ellis, you asked me the number. I can't give you a specific number, but he's never going to have to worry about money the rest of his life. I'll answer the question that way. Because the reality is, if the Kings don't pay him, there are other teams out there that will.
It's the position. It's 3 and D. And the fact that he plays so much longer than he actually is. He is one of those guys that can guard multiple positions on the perimeter. And teams, what's the sexy thing to do, Grant? Switch 1 through 4. That's what teams want to do. So Keon's making 2.1 this year. Next year, he gets the small bump up in salary to 2.3. For everybody asking, let's go. JGP, thanks for waiting. Baki is next, though. What's up, Baki?
What's up, Baki?
Hey, dobro jutro. Good morning.
Dobro jutro.
Good morning.
Thank you, Grant. Previous caller literally stole the words out of my mouth. So I think that we are on the point of the season where you, as a fan, or even I think I can say the King staff, are asking yourself, or they ask themselves, what should they do with Keon Ellis? I don't think there is a team in the NBA who will not be happy to have this guy in their team. I don't know. What do you think about it? I mean, the guy steps out of the court and put himself in the position to read and to defend the whole Houston team complete. And not only Houston, not only Houston, he's doing it against all the teams. This is not anymore only the effort, but now we can see his talent to play defense, and that's very important. His sense to do very, very good things. And sometimes, Ryno, you put some great whiteboard things, but for now, it was only for bad defense things. Now I think we have very good material to take some whiteboard drawings about great Keon defense.
Baki, the whiteboard's ready, buddy, and it is queued up with good things to show. So this was the Kings in the second half, guys, with their zone defense.
Everybody reads my mind tonight.
So what they did, really quick, I'll make it quick, Baki. What was really smart about what they did was they allowed Malik Monk and Keon to pinch up. They decided, you know what, we're gonna pinch up and trap when we want to, because those guys have played together. They know the right way. They come together. Usually you want to be a little more spread out than that on his own. But this area right here is usually what you don't want to give up, the middle of the zone. But because you had Valanciunas in the middle right here, the big V, they wanted Şengün to have to come in and either take a shot from right here, which is not his strength, or make a play in a condensed area, because you've got 3 defenders straight across. So Şengün had all this wide open space, didn't know what to do, got to the point where he didn't want to take the shot. He makes the pass over here. Keegan Murray steals it, and it's off to the races. So the Kings actually flipped the script. They gave up the middle because they knew.
Can you put that back, that picture?
Sure.
No. So if the ball if the ball is in the hand of the playmaker, can you see one weak point of the Kings defense right now?
Maybe right here, probably DeMar DeRozan. He's probably pinched in a little too close.
No, I see the cut behind the back of the defender on the sideline. Do you see the sideline? It was I don't know who's guarding.
Right.
So,
but Baki, that's going to be a pass that's impossible to make with Keegan and Valanciunas right there.
Yeah, but he's losing him from the side. That was Fox is doing all the time. But never mind. I'm going back to the point where I talked to my friends who watched this game a few moments ago, and the defense is our dessert in one team's win. So discussions about how to guard Şengün nemesis and how to stay one-on-one and be efficient. So for me, A mark for Doug defense tonight, and there's why. Houston team is deadly outside the paint in both kinds of play. Very fast ball movements between very fast and athletic players. So anytime you put help player to Şengün, there was a great pass outside, and then they score. Whether it's 3 or penetrate inside very fast, both ways they hurt you. So what they decide was to stay one-on-one with Valanciunas against Şengün, cover all those penetration and cuts. So it paid off because Thompson was dead tonight. Everybody else after this first half, I mean, they rely only on Şengün that he couldn't stand against the complete Kings team.
Yeah, and they sent a double late with DeMar DeRozan when Şengün was not expecting it, which caused the jump ball. That was really
in fourth quarter, doubling Kings in few crucial positions. It was a crazy thing. Malik destroyed them.
Yep. So hey, Baki, thank you as always. Tell your microwave hi for us.
Thank you, Baki.
Please. So really quick before we get to Jay, this is the back half of the play that we were showing you, Grant. This is where Şengün got right to that middle spot and the Kings allowed it. They had all of his outlets covered. So you could either get this pass here, you could get this pass here, which Keegan eventually did steal this pass and go up the court, or he was going to have to shoot the ball right here, something that he did not want to do. So very well done job by Doug Christie and the guys to be that connected.
It worked. I mean, the Rockets only scored 103 points. Think about that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
They're the good defensive team. They're in the top 5 in defense.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to Jay.
How you guys doing?
Jay?
Good. How are you?
Good. Tonight's defense was pretty good. I will give the Kings credit in that regard. I do think it was a tough night for the Rockets in general. They looked, I think they just got Van Vliet back into the lineup, and they're kind of incorporating what they were trying to build off of without Van Vliet. So I don't want to kind of rub off the win, but I think that Kings fans were looking a little too deep into it, and like that, just this. I think that we caught a team on a bad night, and I think we got lucky in a way, in a sense, that we were able to, number one, stay consistent throughout the whole game. That was big for us, and not allow the other team to really catch fire with what was going on. I think with the whole play-in situation with the Kings, I do think that we will make the play-in tournament. I think that we are. I think it's kind of, I don't know how to explain it. The Warriors lost tonight to the 76ers. They didn't have Jimmy Butler. And I think a lot of people are forgetting that the Warriors also have Jonathan Kuminga on that bench as well. And he's going to be a huge problem for a team like us who lacks wing defenders. Because now you got to worry about Jimmy and Kuminga on that wing.
Right.
And they're both 3-and-D players. Kuminga, well, they're definitely 2-and-D players. Okay, they can get to the paint whenever they want. And they're kind of wacky on their three-point shot. But I say that to say, yes, we're going to make the play-in more likely than not. But when we have those teams, we know the West is competitive.
Jay, let's worry about those teams when we get to April. We don't worry about the teams on March 1st. It's stupid to even talk about this right now because there's 23 games left and the order is going to change significantly. Injuries are going to impact what's going to happen. You can't talk about like worrying about playing this team or that team or where you're going to be. Just finish the season and talk about it when the calendar gets towards April. It doesn't do any good to talk about this on March 1st, Jay. It just doesn't. Like, what purpose does it serve?
Well, yeah, I wasn't trying to necessarily look at it from a matchup perspective. I was just trying to, the deeper point beyond that was that I think that this Kings team it's a Band-Aid. It's a Band-Aid. And I kind of hate to poop on everybody's party, but there's no longevity in our franchise right now. I mean, it feels good to take home a win like this, right? And
yes.
we see other teams that are, they're going to be hurt, and we see great teams, good teams. The Suns, for example, they should be good. They're not doing well. Oh, well, long story short, this is a Band-Aid on this season. And so it's very frustrating for me as a fan because I truly want what's best for the fans and the franchise. And there's just no longevity. And we've had this conversation briefly. And what I mean by that is you have to be willing to take it on the chin sometimes. And you have to really sit back and instead of try to put a whole bunch of players together and make things work, you might have to take a couple losses at first to rebuild this thing. So
Jay, we just wait? Can we just wait until the 23 games are in the book? I tend to agree with you. I tend to agree with you about the Band-Aid analogy more than the other side of the fence. But, we might be having a whole different conversation at the end of April if the Kings, get into the playoffs and win a
That's
playoff
true.
series and everything looks like it's gelling and this and that. We might be having a completely different conversation. Probably more likely than not, but we could. Let's just play it out and see what happens.
That's very true. Especially, I think, have we played 10 games at least? I think, Grant, you gave us the 10-game mark. 10 games. Okay, I guess you could say about game 7, 8, I was ready to call it quits this season. I was done watching the Kings. Seeing that they're we're up 3 games above 500, it does feel better. I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to be pooping on everybody's party in the chat, but you got to be real. And Grant's the ultimate realist. So your take on that, Ryno, before I hop out.
Jay, my take is I am baffled. You have ran the gamut this year, my friend. We had to ban you from saying championship, and now you're the poop in the ice cream tonight.
That was with Fox on the team.
No,
right,
I
buddy.
get it. We talked about it last show. Could this fan base take a rebuild because you're more or less in purgatory? But yeah, it's a conversation
Yes,
that we have.
that's the word. Yes.
We have plenty of time after the season to
All
talk
right.
about. So I
Thanks,
appreciate
Jay.
you, brother.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jay.
You're right about Jay. He's been all over the freaking map this year, huh? Wow.
He's ran the gamut, man.
Wow.
He's just, I mean, we had to put a ban on that C word. We said the C word was not allowed on this channel.
Unfreaking believable. Wow. Hey, what's up there, Zach?
How you guys doing?
What's happening?
Just want to say it was a great win today. Like you guys said, it's a good signature win. We played like a good team. The offense was flowing, played good defense, just a lot to like here. I guess just a lot of question marks coming up, like how long is Sabonis going to be out for? How is Jonas going to be with the starters? So it's just it really is up in the air for the next couple of weeks. I'm assuming Sabonis is at least out for a week or two.
I would think so. We'll know
yeah.
tomorrow.
Right. And so I'm just assuming that. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But just some stats that I was looking up earlier, and that's how the Kings fare against above 500 teams. Before today, we were 10-18, which is the worst of the first 10 teams in the West. So that was interesting. Now we're 11-18, and we were against below 500 teams. We're 20-10, which is the worst out of the top 10 teams as well. Just some interesting stats here when we don't have that many easy games coming up.
That is interesting.
It's interesting because I think about all the bad losses at the beginning of the season. Did those teams actually end up being decent?
Well, you also have to keep in mind that we're talking about 2 different teams right now.
Yeah, great point.
The team before the trade deadline is different than the team currently.
Yes, I agree. And so yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see how the next couple weeks play out with this tough March schedule. If we're going to stay consistent, that's all up in the air, stuff like that. So like you guys have been saying, we just got to keep watching and see what happens. It's a whole different team. And I had a question about Ryno, that Pikachu in the background. Can we get a story behind that? Well, is there something going on there?
Well, 2 things. Anytime I travel, I cannot sleep in a regular bed because of my hips. So for those that don't know, I had both of my hips replaced last year. But Pikachu is my son's favorite character, so Pikachu always travels with me. So he's in the background.
Love it.
I
love it. Just want to say that, and that's all I had today. But
thank you, buddy.
I hope to see you guys soon.
Hey, Zach, good hearing from you. It's now time for a rant with Grant. It is brought to you by EDH Motors. Automotive Reimagined. David and Adam are looking to sell your vehicle. Do you have a vehicle that you want to sell? Get in touch with David and Adam. You've got all the information right there on the screen. Call or email, or I can give you their website, edhmotors.com. 2 guys trying to do something different and better. This is a long overdue new concept. They are located at the El Dorado Hills Town Center. You'll take delivery in their beautiful auto lounge. It is awesome. Again, go to edhmotors.com. And if you don't have a vehicle that you're looking to sell, but you have a vehicle or you want to buy a vehicle, you go to their website. If you don't find what you're looking for, don't worry about it. They'll get it for you. That's what they do with their decades of automotive experience. Once again, that's edhmotors.com. EDH Motors, Automotive Reimagined. My rant tonight is what the hell has gotten into Anthony Edwards of the Minnesota Timberwolves? Like, what's his deal? Now all of a sudden he's the new DeMarcus Cousins, the new Draymond Green of the NBA. Already 16 technicals, doesn't play in a game that the Timberwolves should have been an automatic W and they lose. I mean, seriously, throwing the ball into the stands, always getting fined repeatedly, using abrasive language in post-game interviews. What's wrong with this guy? Seriously. You know what I hate? I hate seeing unbelievably gifted talent end up with a bad label, end up being somebody who he's not. Like, what's this all about? Right? We're talking about one of the young and upcoming stars of the game. And now all of a sudden he's got an attitude. He's attacking the refs. Coach Finch has said we've talked to him. It's on him. You know, we're trying to do everything we can. He's hurting the team. He's hurting the team. One of the great young talents of the NBA has turned over a bad leaf. It's a bad look for him. It's a bad look for the Timberwolves. And it's a bad look for a league whose ratings continue to decline, whose league is in trouble, even though Adam Silver says the state of the game is excellent. It's just a bad look all the way around. Anthony Edwards, I got 2 words for you. Grow up. And that's my rant for today.
Well done by you again. It was cute for a while with Anthony Edwards. You know,
Enough
like
already, right?
it was cute for the first year, especially
Yes.
when he came on the scene and talking junk to the vets. But now it's getting a little weird. Did you watch?
Well, here's the other deal. If he doesn't control his temper, he's going to continue to get suspended repeatedly, and that's going to be a real big problem for a Timberwolves team who right now is dealing with a multitude of injuries. They're trying to hang on by a thread. That means they need Edwards on the floor. They can't have him off the floor right now.
Yeah. Did you watch the Starting Five on Netflix that he was a part of and Sabonis was a part of? I thought the glimpse into Anthony Edwards' life and how he operates was really different. Like I see him in a different light. He's very isolated, even around those that he lives with. He was probably the most revealing character to me, and maybe not in a not a bad way, but a surprising way.
Yeah. Somebody said, did I see the tribute for Scott Pollard at the Jayhawks game today? I did, and I actually just texted Scott before we came on, and I'll read this to you because I said to him, just saw the video from today. So happy for you, big boy. He said, love you, brother. Today was a long day, but a good one. Special day for me. He got a standing ovation for a long time at his alma mater, back at a Kansas game for the first time since his heart transplant. And it was also very significant because Scott wore number 31, and that number is dear to him because it was the number that his father used to wear. And today being 3-1 and Scott being at the game, it was just a very special moment. If you didn't see it, you can Google Scott Pollard at the Kansas game today, and I'm sure you'll see the video. Or you can go to his Twitter handle, X handle, and the video is on there. Or Facebook.
That first off, that's Scott with 1 T. And second off, he is incredibly jacked still and in very good shape for somebody that had a heart transplant. I mean, well built still. Incredible moment.
The strength that he used to stand up for the first time after his heart transplant, 18 hours after he received the new heart from Casey Angel, real name, by the way, Angel, who is Scott's angel. I watched him. I was in the room when he had to stand up, and I was telling myself, I don't know how many people could do this, especially with his size and weight, but his legs are so freaking strong. And to watch him stand up was one of the most chilling, indescribable things I've ever seen in my life. But you're right. He does. He looks great. He's feeling good. I message Scott 4 or 5 times every week. He just had his 1-year checkup. Everything came out great. So knock on wood. Right now, everything's going great.
I call his legs tree trunks. I don't
Yes.
think I could really call them legs.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
no, incredible. And by the way, for those that have not subscribed, or if you're new to the channel, make sure that you subscribe. We would greatly appreciate it. And there is
Yes.
an incredible sit down with Scott and Grant that you can go find there on the channel. That was from this past summer after Scott had his transplant. And even
I'll
if
have him
you're
on again. I'll have him on again soon. We'll get an update.
for sure. Even if you are not a basketball fan, sit down with somebody and watch that.
Yeah. We have any more calls, or we're going to wrap this up?
We do. We've got one last guy waiting around, cleaning up the stage. All clear for him. David, how you doing tonight?
Hey, David.
What's up, guys?
Hi there.
What's up, David?
Grant, so you got on Jay about kind of forecasting what March looked like, and you said it was only March 1st.
Well, I got on Jay for talking about like teams that you got to worry about when you play them in the playoffs is what he was alluding to. I don't really like talking about playoff matchups or potential teams that you're going to play on March 1st. I just think you need to wait.
I understand that. But like you said, it's a heavy schedule coming up in March too as well. I mean, nothing's guaranteed.
Nope.
Right? I mean, good win tonight for them.
Yep, very good win.
But like you said, you know, there's a lot of hectic coming up with the Mavericks, Nuggets, Spurs, Clippers, Knicks, Warriors.
Yep.
So, you know, I mean, it's a lot, and I know they got the 8th seed tonight, but and the Kings are, to me, they're better on the road than they are at home.
Agreed.
Which is weird. But it's been like that for the last 3 years
since they moved into the building.
Right. Technically, yeah. So, and I'm not really, I am a forecaster. I know you're not, Grant. And I've been listening to you, bro, since maybe the early 1320 KH2K. And
that's
so
K-Sac.
I'll give
that was
myself credit for that.
1140 and then 1140 and before that 1240. But all right, so
I
let me interrupt you for a minute. So I want to hear your opinion. What do you think is going to happen?
I think well, with all the home games with the Grizzlies, Cavaliers, Bucks, and Celtics, Thunder.
Yep.
I think the Kings are in trouble. And I say that because with Domas's injury, that could linger for a while, and a while means weeks. And I don't think JV can do what Domas does, obviously. And I think the Kings could be, and I think Christie could. It's really going to test him out as a coach, and it's really going to test out Levine as, you know, kind of maybe not so much of a savior, but it's going to test him, man, a lot. And
David, I think they're in trouble. I think they're in trouble too, but I think the chances of them falling out of the top 10 is remote because of the separation between where the 10th place team is now and Phoenix. It's significant, and Phoenix has the toughest remaining schedule in the NBA, and they're not playing well. So I do think the Kings will be in the dance, in the play-in, but I'm with you. I'm very nervous about the upcoming schedule. I think it is daunting, and I don't think they're going to survive that schedule.
I agree with you. I just think that, well, it's a crapshoot, man. I mean, that's what the playoffs are about, or
play the games.
Playoffs. And I think that I think the Kings could be. I think they're riding a motion with Doug. Of course, they have the 7-game winning streak, and I still think they're still shooting good. Their defense as a team is efficient. I don't see them as prominent as most Kings fans want to see them as. They're not the beam team from 22 to the most efficient offensive team in NBA history, but I think they can squeak out some wins. And I think Levine is a little bit more consistent than Fox as far as threes. And I think that it's like nothing's really changed for me.
Okay.
To see them.
David,
watching them.
fair enough. I appreciate you wrapping up the show tonight. Good call. I appreciate your thoughts. We may not agree, but you're well thought out. And the one thing that you and I are on the same page, and thank you again very much, is the schedule coming up. There will be there's no, oh, well, gee, you got lucky here, you got lucky there. You got Murderer's Row coming up starting very soon. And if you get through that, you've earned every single piece. You've earned every single step of the way.
Yeah, I think with or without Sabonis, the same concern was there. Now, obviously, you have a better chance with him. I wish we would have gotten to see Sabonis against Fox on the 7th.
Yeah,
I think that's probably up in the air.
Yep.
But
I would say unlikely.
Unlikely.
Again, we're going to find out. We're going to find out a lot more tomorrow. But here's what we do know. Enjoy your Sunday, everybody. We'll be back Monday. Don't forget, we got the pregame, Jerry at halftime. We got postgame, the Kings and the Mavs. So we've got a busy Monday coming up for you, and hope you can join us. Please subscribe, as Ryan said. Something else, if you wouldn't mind, please give us a thumbs up. It takes you 1 second. Just hit that thumbs up icon. We'd greatly appreciate it. And I tell you, we had a really good show tonight. Excellent calls. Good feedback on the chat line. Ryno, good job, buddy. I enjoyed this show a lot, and it's always fun after a big win. And this, make no mistake about it, this was a big win.
Big win. Anytime you get Napes to say signature win, it is a good night. Appreciate you, partner.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll talk to you Monday right here on If You Don't Like That. Thank you.